Yep.
Okay, so into this I have put a lot of buckets of water that's got power feed or a liquid fertilizer into it, because the soil really is not nourished. And so by putting power feed into it, you're giving your plants a much better chance of growing better and stronger. Because with the colder weather coming in, even though they are winter plants that we're putting in, they still need to have good nourishment to keep them up and buoyant. And your water, your soil needs to be at a certain water saturation point to actually also help your plants, because in the early days you don't want to be
Dry.
That doesn't want to be dry, but you don't want you want your plants to immediately start to dig deeper down, like for the roots to grow deeper down for support. So that happens in the first week or so of putting them out, transplanting them out. So the object is to give them a bit of water, but not give them too much. They remain shallow rooted. They've got to become deeper rooted. That also helps with their success. So what you're going to do is just level your soil out so that when you put water on, it's just going to go evenly over your garden. And then all you're going to do is just make an area to put your plants in.
Like a little well.
Yeah. So you're going to be able to stand your plants up. So if you wanted to stop that while I go and get the cow. So these are cauliflower plants, but as you can see they've grown quite long and spindly. So these are going to have to be planted a bit deeper to actually give them the support that they need. And because there's more than one plant in here, like normally you might only get one plant, but in here there's probably about 6 or 8, maybe 9 plants in that little area. So when I push this out, I'm going to have to work them so I can get the plants apart and hope that I can actually end up with them all, which can be a bit difficult. So 2 have come out. So we'll just put that there. See, as you can see, there's a lot of plants here. But this soil here is good and wet because you've soaked them in a bit of sea salt, which is also going to help them. But now comes the tricky part of actually separating these.
The delicate part.
And I can't see that this many plants has come off one seed. It just wouldn't happen. So I've separated them, but they don't have you can see the root system on them. So that's where your life force is going to come from. But because, as you can see, that stem situation is so long, I'm going to have to plant those fairly deep into the soil in the hope that more roots will grow out of that stem area for support.
That's so skinny.
Yeah, because it's so skinny. So you have to go a bit deeper here. I'm going to put it with this hand. So what I'm going to do is just lie those up on that side there. And because at the moment I'm trying to get these to grow into better plants before I actually plant them out again, because of the size of the stems being so long, I am planting them close together. So if I choose to leave these plants here, I will take these middle ones out and leave these other ones here. So I'll be only transplanting like every second plant. So now I'm just going to push the dirt in. I'm going to push the dirt in like that. And then I'm just going to stand them up. And then just pat down around them. Just put your finger on either side of it like that, and pat it down so that there's a firm feeling there for them, because they do like to feel firm in the ground.
So as these get bigger, you'll separate them so that they can grow bigger.
Yes, because these plants are going to grow. If they grow well, they will grow quite big. Because what are we doing? We're doing cauliflowers. Yeah, so in actual fact, there's probably only room really across here for maybe 2. That's how much room they're going to need. And plant them a bit close together. But I will take out, every couple. But it is trying to get these to grow. So you just need to. A longer garden bed, you might need to use a string line.
What's that mean?
Well, you can put it into there and then pull it tight, and you'll get a straighter line.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm looking for now is, you can see just a little tiny bit of growth coming out the centre. So it's the centre growths now that we're looking for, the leaves that are coming out of the centre, which is going to bring these into better plants, make them grow, the growing plant. So these are actually too close, but because there's so many of them, in actual fact, in a big garden situation, I would have probably 6 to 8 inches between these rows, but because I'm trying to get these as seedlings to take off, I'm condensing everything. Yeah, so this is the sequence that you'll use if your plants are similar to these, which I think they are. This is the sequence that you're going to have to use to plant what you've got and get them coming along. Because it's a bit cold.
Cauliflower like the cold though, right?
Yeah, they are winter vegetables. So they do prefer the cold, but these are very delicate plant seeds. So we're just pushing in again. Knowing you need to also realise that the soil is actually going to sink when I start watering it, because I've lifted all the soil up, I've dug it all up. So soil always settles down. So just need to remember that they're going to.
Does that mean more of the root will show as it sinks?
Well, it's more of the stem that's going to show. So in the early days of what we're doing now, we just need to be very light with the water. When you're spraying them, you might need to get a spray thing on your...
Like a nozzle?
Yeah, the nozzle, and just spray them very lightly.
Instead of using like a watering tin or a straight hose?
Yeah, that's right. Because that will help these little plants to...
stay embedded in the soil?
Yeah. And so the other important thing, which I'm going to do now, because you don't need to film me doing all of these plants, I'm just going to show you that thing that I've got in here.
Want me to pause it?
Yep.
Go. Yep.
So that's the feed that I bought to put in it.
It's called Power Feed Plant Food All Purpose. Did you just get that from Bunnings?
You can get it from Bunnings. I got it just from the Fernvale hardware.
From the hardware store. All right.
But it doesn't matter. You'll get it from Bunnings. But the thing about it is that this is a bottle that you can put a hose on, and the water just mixes with it. But what I've done is I've undone the lid, and I'm using it as a concentrate.
With water?
Yeah. So you don't need this to be too strong for little plants. They can't take it. So it's got to be fairly weak. So, if you're watering, maybe half a cap to start with in a bucket of water is about all you'll need.
Right. Right.
So I've got this framework.
I'll come to you outside.
I've got this framework which is actually going to hopefully protect these plants a bit from too much cold and too much heat. So I'm just going to put, when I get them all in, I'm just going to put this over, and I've got some bits that I'll just put on the end here. So that's just like a protection for them.
Little tent.
Huh?
It's a little tent.
Yeah.